understood the philosophy of Bitcoin, something clicked in my mind. The struggle we have been fighting for in Togo for freedom is completely tied to our decision to have an independent currency.
The currency in Togo, the CFA franc, is controlled and printed by the French treasury, and her family has seen their life savings devalued time and time again. Farida questions why France keeps Togo's reserves in its banks, money that's earned by the Togolese people, and then is used to buy French debt to finance the living standards of French people.
Why can't we just use Bitcoin, which is more like a nation-less currency, a currency that is not tied to a country, a race, an identity, the currency that belongs to everyone. And the most powerful part about it is the fact that it's immutable. The rules cannot be changed. Someone cannot wake up every day and announce that they are slashing its value by 50% and get us all poor.
And there you have it. This young Togolese woman is sitting here explaining why Bitcoin is powerful. And this is the main message that the Bitcoin bros are trying to get across. Bitcoin is immutable, it's scarce, it can't be controlled by one governing body, it can't be manipulated, it can't be printed, it can't be destroyed. It's true money, the true money for the people. And this explains how governments can manipulate monies to finance their own economies while keeping certain sectors of the global economy suppressed. This is present day slavery used on a governing level. Have you FOMO'd into Bitcoin yet? Have you had your light bulb moment? Bitcoin will change the world. And with that, what's happening, crypto crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. You know what we do. We do this every single day for you. Whether the market's pumping or dumping, the Bitcoin bros are here for you. What are we looking at today? An update from Crypto Caesar. Bitcoin is on a mission to the $40,000 region this year. This is in his opinion. Moves like this after bear market bottoms are quite normal. I see Bitcoin trading in the six-figure region by the end of 2024, the beginning of 2025. So taking a look at this chart here, he's taking a look at some Fibonacci retracement levels. And these are very important levels because you can use these and look at the previous all-time high back in 2017, see what it comes down to, and then you can also do the previous highs back in 2021. So what we do for you, we plotted this out. As you see here, this is the previous all-time high back in 2012. So we just pulled our Fib extensions out, and what we do, we came up back to that 0.786 level, around $800, and then we get rejected going into the halving. And that's what happened the first time. The second time, we came up to that 0.786 level once again, but then came back down to the 0.382 level. And then this last bull cycle, what we do? This previous bull cycle, we peaked up around 69,000. And right now, if history's any indication of what's to happen, Bitcoin could be running up to that 0.786 level. Where is that at? That's right around that $48,000 level. And then once it hits this, it could get a rejection and go back down to the $27,000 to $28,000 range at the 0.382. So an interesting find from Crypto Caesar. We definitely cross-verify this, and this checks out. So the question is, how long is it going to take until Bitcoin gets up to that 0.786 level? Well, we can take a look for you and look at a date range. When we bottom out to when we run into that 0.786 level, the first time it took about 300 days from the bottoming out structure until we ran back into that 0.786 level. The second time, it took about 200 days. And then this time right now, at the current time of this recording, if the bottom is already in, we're in the game 98 days. So we still could be seeing some trading to the upside over the next 3 to 5 months. Next 100 to 200 days, Bitcoin could be hitting around that $49,000 to $50,000 threshold. Are you prepared and all your bags packed? Another update from Ali Charts. He's comparing Bitcoin from May of 2019 to February present day. And he's looking at the 50, 100, and 200 moving averages. And as you see, he's pointing out, we had that 50 crossover both the 100 and 200, which is extremely bullish. And this is where we are present day before this rip up. This is where we are. We haven't seen that rally to the upside yet. So taking a look at this, once again, this is verified. The 50 has crossed over the 100 and 200 moving average. We've had this double bottom of putting in higher highs. So are we going to see a new all-time high, and in what time frame? So let's see when the 50 crossed over the 20. This is around February 6th of this year. If we look back in 2017, when did this happen and how much time was in between this cross and the peak? It's about 65 days. It crossed around April, and within the next little over 2 months, we seen that peak in June of that year. So if we go back and we look out 65 days from this cross, this could take us to that peak by mid-April. So could we get extremely parabolic and go to the upside and hit that $50,000 threshold by the middle of April? It's a possibility. Bitcoin had to do something like this. It'd be extremely volatile. Alts would definitely take off. But if history's any indication, once again, it looks like it's aligning up for the next 100 to 200 days to be extremely bullish. The next update from Bitcoin for Freedom, the most asymmetric upside ever is Bitcoin's current market cap at $447 billion. 20% of the Bitcoins are lost forever. That's over 4 million coins that are just lost. Global wealth is 900 trillion with a T, and if Bitcoin captures just 1% of the overall global wealth, the price of one Bitcoin will be $535,000. Once again, it's a no-brainer. It's an asymmetric return. It's common math. 1 + 1 = 2. Another update from 888 Velvet. We're seeing this downwards resistance. We've just had a bump and run. We broke this downwards resistance, retested, and he's calling for a move back up to around the $30,000 to $33,000 range in the short to mid term. So right now it's a buy opportunity, a long opportunity if you're trading. And with that, we have an update from Nigel Farage. And you might be asking, who is that? Well, we have that answer for you. He is a British broadcaster and a former politician who was the leader of the UK Independence Party from 2006 to 2009 and from 2010 to 2016, and leader of the Brexit Party from 19 to 2021. So he is definitely a major player in the European Parliament. So what's he talking about and what's he got to say? Let's check it out.
Today we are rushing through an association agreement at undue speed with the Ukraine, and as we speak, there are NATO soldiers engaged in military exercises in the Ukraine. Have we taken leave of our senses? Do we actually want to have a war with Putin? Because if we do, we're certainly going about it the right way.
So he's calling for a war. He's saying Putin's invasion of Ukraine is totally abhorrent, but it is also entirely predictable. He warned about this back in 2014. So that video you just watched wasn't recent. That was almost 10 years ago. 9 to be exact, but he predicted this. And now tensions are escalating, and are we on the cusp of a war? In latest news, the U.S. commits another $2 billion in drones, ammunition, and aid to Ukraine. So this proxy war is definitely continuing, and the United States is continuing to pour money and aiding Ukraine with tanks, ammunition, weaponry, drones, food, any type of supplies that they really need to fight this combat with Russia. Will this ever bubble up to where Russia starts to look at the US? Because it's blatantly obvious that this is definitely a proxy war. But the question you want to ask yourself is, how does war affect commodity prices? Well, look here. The rally in energy sector stocks have been driven up in large price by rising crude oil prices. So last year, when Brent crude oil price was up 57% through June 10th to above $122 a barrel for the first time since 2008, when the war with Russia sort of escalated and got brought to the forefront, the commodity oil went crazy. So what's it do for markets? What does war do for markets? That's one commodity Bitcoin and crypto, as you know, in 2022 wasn't affected by this because that's when the Celsius and the FTX blowups were happening and the market was definitely dumping. It wasn't rising in 2022. But across the board, how does war affect markets? Well, we took a look at this here. This is every major geopolitical event and the stock market reaction to those events. As you see, we got all the way from the Pearl Harbor attack, Kennedy's assassination, Reagan shooting, the Boston bombing, and you can see in the one day, in 24 hours, what markets did. And it's relatively not that bad. The U.S. terrorist attacks, the markets fell 5% about. That's almost the biggest drawback outside when North Korea invaded South Korea. That was back in the 1950s. So that's the highest, 5.4%. But everything really is between 0 and 1% almost. If you look at the average is around 1%. The total drawdown is roughly just 5%. So markets don't nuke. They don't drop like 50%. The biggest drawdown that we had total was when Iraq invaded Kuwait. That was almost a 17% drawdown all in all. And once again, how long it take this drawdown to play out? It takes less than a month on average. There are some anomalies where you see Pearl Harbor took 143 days. That's the longest, but on average, it's less than a month. And then for markets to recover after they bottom out, it takes about a month and a half on average, 47 days. And now we have some anomalies once again. Pearl Harbor attack took almost a year, and when Iraq invaded Kuwait, took a little over half a year. But all in all, about a month and a half. So markets don't get affected that badly by wars. But is there going to be upside because of the money printing? How is that going to affect Bitcoin? If there's a war that happens and the money printers get turned back on because of this war, are risk assets going to take off? Are commodity prices going to go up? Are hard assets going to go up? These are all viable questions. If we look at history, we can see that markets don't get shook too much from war. But could there be a potential big upside if that money printer gets turned on and more tens or hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars get printed? If I had to bet, I would say probably a higher probability that Bitcoin would see more upside in that scenario than down. And with that, I'm Sean at the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate the support. With that, that's all I have for you today. Until next time.